I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Well, now I need to redo that and put some little clips of Neil Brown in their. Well, no, I didn't have Neil Brown actually on camera today. How's everybody doing, guys? It's Thursday night. It's Big 12 night. We are streaming live on the Big 12 channel as well as the West Virginia channel, and got my little buddy over here with me tonight. Shane, what's happening, brother?
I'll tell you what, man. I'm following Neil Brown. I can't believe that. What a great interview. If you missed it, check it out. Joey dropped it at 4 today. If that doesn't get you excited about the Big 12, okay, yeah, we are a Big 12 show, but we're Mountaineer fans first. But we're going to try to be unbiased. But Joey knocked it out of the park.
We had a good interview. It was good. We got to talk a little bit before the interview, and I won't talk about what we discussed there. And we talked a little bit after the interview as well. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, Neil Brown's a great guy and nice enough to actually do that for me the last 4 years. Every year he's been there except for 2019. Neil Brown's come on my show. And Ren Baker has as well since he's come in. So, and I'll have Ren Baker again here real soon, I would think. So, yeah. So now one thing, if you will go to that interview with Neil Brown today and go to the 11-minute mark and listen to about 11:15 and see what you can pick up on there. I'll tell you what it is, but something that he said in that interview that I caught at the time, but I didn't question him on it because, well, honestly, I don't want to ruin things that, with West Virginia University. Obviously, I want to be able to still interview people. But he said something that I thought could be breaking news. He said, when West Virginia is in charge of their own schedule and when we can finally make our own schedule or something like that, to that extent, then, we'll see a difference. Because right now we're playing 11 Power Fives, and, and right now we're not getting all them home games. We're not getting 6, 7 home games every year like we should be. Sometimes we're just getting like 5. But he's talked about being able to make their own schedule. I had not heard that until that moment. I had never heard that.
I picked up on that too. And you know what? Brother, you are picking up the vibes I'm putting out because I love Locked On Big 12.
I don't know if that's Shane or me. You guys let me know in the chat. Is Shane messing up or is that me?
I think you did, but I don't know. I think my feed's fine. Let us know in the chat.
Okay, yeah. Let us know in the chat who's messing up here, me or Shane.
That ties into me. I want to give some heat to this guy that was on today or last night on the Locked On. They've had a good run, but they're not as big and bad as they think they are. And I'll get into that and give them some, poke some holes into their balloon. But they have an easy schedule this year, Joey. That's what I'm getting at.
I know. Oh
They
God, yeah,
have
they
an
do.
easy schedule. And he even says they don't have to play Kansas and Kansas State. But if you think you're going to roll through and win the conference championship without, he said, oh, we don't have to play Kansas State. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Utah, fanboy. You're going to have to play in the college championship, or not college championship, in the Big 12 championship. I'm so excited. Kansas State in the regular season, but you know what? Ones are very likely to be in the Big 12 championship. Okay, so you're going to have to play probably 1 or 2 of those, or you're going to Virginia, Oklahoma, and I don't know. Do they play Oklahoma State? I'll have to look, but you're not going to roll through your weak ass schedule and think it's going to be an easy Big 12 championship game. You have a rude awakening. You lost to UCLA last year, which was dog crap team. Oregon State was good, and they put it to you. And of course, Washington and Oregon always put it to you. So Utah, get off your high horse. You're not Alabama, you're not Michigan, and you're not Texas or Oklahoma. Don't think you are. That's it. That's my hot take.
So Charles Patterson, that's something, because I was talking to Coos earlier from Coos's Corner, and we were talking about that very thing. Wonder if he meant out of conference schedule. Well, here's the problem. West Virginia's always made their own out of conference schedule, right? Haven't we always made our own out of conference schedule? So I just don't understand that. Why would you say when we are going to, when we're able to make our schedule, if you're talking about out of conference schedule, we pretty much already do that. I mean, that's why Pitt, Penn State are on the schedule. That's because that's rivalries close to us, and that's what West Virginia wanted, right? So why would you say that anyway? If it's happening already, so that was my concern on that.
What do you think it is? Is it does he know something that's going to shake out? That is there going to be? Oh, so I'm freezing on your.
Yeah, you're freezing on my end too. Sometimes you're okay right now. Go ahead.
No, I have a question, guys. Do you think it could be one that there's going to be a major seismic shift in college football and we're going to be making our own schedule for the whole year? Or is it a non-conference? You get to pick your out-of-conference games. It's one of those two things.
Yeah, I mean, because the only other time I've heard about making your own conference schedule was, you remember we put those things up about the divisions?
Yeah.
And the teams getting in these divisions and all the teams going into divisions. Yeah. That was going to be away from the NCAA model, away from a lot of models of conferences. So teams would be able to make their own schedule. So did he give us a little bit of insight maybe to the future? I'm not talking about this year, next year, or anything like that. I'm talking about 7-8 years down the road, after 2031, 2030, somewhere around there. Are we going to have these divisions possibly in college football? I think it's a great possibility because the model was really good. Now, I know the SEC and Big Ten are saying, no, it's not going to happen. And they're going to have a lot of say, but they may not have all the say, because you know what? There's a lot of teams out there other than what's in the SEC and Big Ten. And they've got pretty much as much say as the SEC and Big Ten. Maybe they have the domination in television. But when you take out teams like West Virginia out of that mix, and teams like Arizona, they have a good following. Colorado's got a huge following. It's almost as big as West Virginia. I think in the Big 12, it's like West Virginia, then Colorado, and then goes down to Arizona, and then you go to like Oklahoma State. Followers, social media followers, people at the games, people watching on TV. West Virginia's like number one, the Big 12, even with the people coming over from the Pac-12, but then the rest of them are right there. I mean, it's like really close. So you can't isolate those teams that are really big in the market areas. West Virginia's got the Pittsburgh viewing audience, a Washington D.C. viewing audience, so pretty good market area there.
Yes, sir. Well, that that makes me think about, also in the mix there, a few days ago, you had Congress taking action to protect the NCAA, from legal challenges. That is, it's called the Protect the Ball Act. So you had a representative or a congressman, Representative Russell Fry from South Carolina and Barry Moore from Alabama. The Protect the Ball Act. It's like a real broad bill that would outline the framework to kind of protect college sports, so that you don't have teams that can't come up with the $20 or $30 million, whatever it would take to pay all the players and to settle that lawsuit. I think that's really interesting. But going back to what you were saying, you have the Shane, who's a super fan, wants the divisions. I want the old Big East. I want Maryland. I want Penn State. I want Virginia Tech. I want Louisville. Hey, Tim. So I want these teams to play, the regional teams. But the problem is the SEC and Big 12 know that they're making money off of Oregon playing Penn State. They're making money off of Washington playing Michigan and Alabama playing, playing these teams that are across the country on a weekly basis. But the SEC is I think a little more old school. They like to keep it, hey, this is the Southern Conference, we are the best in college football, and that's that. But the Big Ten, man, it's so scary. It's so scary as a fan. Every time I click on video, it makes
question for you real quick, because you mentioned something there, and I'm going to ask you a question, Shane.
Go ahead.
Which is going to have more viewers, Oregon and Penn State or West Virginia and Penn State? Which one will have the most viewers?
Well, that's hard for me to answer because I'm biased.
But the thing about it is, Oregon coming into the Big Ten, that's going to be, a Big Ten game now. Oregon always has a good following, right? And Penn State has a great following. So those two teams colliding, I would say it's probably going to get 5 million viewers, at least, maybe 6 million. And West Virginia and Penn State last year was 8 million. I'm just wondering if West Virginia and Penn State are going to have more viewers this year than Oregon and Penn State will. And that because of that being a conference game.
Oregon's going to be good. Now, if you have Washington and Penn State, it might not have the zeal. I think West Virginia would blow Washington out of the water as far as eyeballs on screens. I think it's a rough year because Oregon is picked by a lot of people to win the Big Ten. But, I mean, West Virginia, you can't tell me West Virginia, Virginia Tech isn't a draw. Remember those Thursday night games in the Big East when West Virginia played VTech or West Virginia would play. I remember when West Virginia beat a number 3 Virginia Tech on a Thursday night 20-something years ago. You had these conference games that had regional appeal, but I don't know. So Jackson Johnson says, I wonder if Penn State would be an ABC, ESPN, or Fox this season. I think it's going to be Fox. Or ESPN?
I think so. It's going to be a game day thing. I'm telling you right now, Pat McAfee is going to bring game day to Morgantown.
I think so.
I have a feeling game day is going to be in Morgantown. Game 1, Penn State, West Virginia, and it's going to be an ESPN primetime game. I would say probably a 7:30, 8 o'clock kickoff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah,
that's my prediction. That's my prediction right now. It's early. Who the hell knows? But that's my prediction.
No, I can see that happening, and but no, I know we're all over the place today, but I still am it's for the Big 12, it is the conference with the most parity.
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay. It has you can tune in as a casual fan. Hey Jackson, you can tune in as a casual fan any day on any game and be entertained. This isn't Northwestern playing Michigan. Okay, or Indiana playing freaking Wisconsin. This is, you're going to see a good game week in and week out, and you can't tell me you're going to know from front to back who's going to be in the top 5. And if you are, you're full of crap. Okay, Jackson, I'll let you talk for a little bit.
How you gents doing tonight?
I'm doing good,
I'm doing
buddy.
good.
I know that
Let's-
West Virginia games aren't going to get relegated to Peacock. That's for sure.
No.
I'm going to present something here. I'm going to share a screen if I can. Let's go to right here. No, not there. Right here, maybe. No, not that. There we go. Maybe this is it. Let's share this screen. All right. So this is 247. This is 247 Sports. And this is the teams with the most returning starters 2024 ranked, right? So if you get on through there, number one is Virginia Tech with 22 players returning, 11 offense, 9 defense. That didn't have nothing to do with us, so we'll skip that. But number two, Oklahoma State, 21 players returning, 10 on offense, 10 on defense. That's a lot of players returning for Oklahoma State. Why is there so much hype around Utah, guys? I just don't understand that. I mean, look, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, are you guys going to tell me that you're underestimating that guy? Because I'm not. Oklahoma State's going to be really good. Now, if their running back was to get hurt, oh, that could be bad for them because everybody remembers last year they were not real great. They were not a very good team. And then all of a sudden, this running back they put in the game went wild and nobody could stop his ass. What the hell's his name?
Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon. That's right. Thank you, Jackson. Ollie Gordon. So Ollie Gordon gets in the game and starts running wild on everybody, including West Virginia. I think that was like his breakout game. My God, we couldn't stop that guy.
Yeah.
We'd have 5 guys around him, and he would just run right through all 5 of them and go. This guy is talented. Now, if he gets hurt, I think Oklahoma State's going to be in trouble. I really do. But if he's healthy, there ain't nobody in this conference. Utah, Arizona, nobody beating Oklahoma State. Not West Virginia, not anybody, if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, I think we have a chance. Now, going on from that, you have Iowa State returning 19, 9 on offense, 9 on defense. Right, they're going to be a scary team because you don't know what to expect, right? Matt Campbell, Iowa State's always been a dumpster fire, except for when Matt Campbell came, and he took them out of that dumpster fire and brought them into the light, so to speak. But here's the problem: we don't know what to expect this next year out of Iowa State because they didn't set the world on fire last year, but they're returning a lot of starters, and that means a lot because teams that lose people, all of a sudden now that beat Iowa State last year, they're going to lose to them. They're not going to be able to beat them, because they've got all these returning starters. Plus, players progress as they go, right? They get better as they go, which was what Neil Brown was talking about today, the progression. Everybody getting better as you go along. Iowa State's going to be a good team, guys. What do y'all think?
Yeah. I mean, they can put a scare into you, especially if you're in Ames, Iowa. I'm curious, though, to what they'll bring against Iowa at Connect Stadium this year.
Yeah, that defense.
Yeah.
Iowa still has a really good defense, but Iowa State is not talked about. And I'm going off on a freaking rant on this guy from Utah. He mentioned Kansas State. Yeah, they were fantastic. But he's poo-pooing and forgetting about Iowa State, and he's forgetting about these other teams that you don't know what you have. I mean,
right.
It's like going into a freaking bear's den with a flashlight. You don't know what's in there.
Right, exactly. So if we go on down through here, and I was surprised at the number of Big 12 teams in the top 10, even the top 15 and top 25. Baylor at number 6. We were already at our third or fourth? Third Big 12 team. Let me look again. So we had let's see, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and now Baylor. Third team out of 6 returning production. 9 offense, 7 defense. Now, Baylor was a dumpster fire last year. We all know this. And Dave Aranda's got the hottest seat in the country. I think we all agree on that. But can Baylor turn around this year with all that returning production? Because that's a lot of returning production. 9 on offense and 7 on defense. So,
yeah, Baylor, you can't tell me with that brand new shiny stadium and the money that they have, they're not in contention for key players. I mean, they recruit talented players. I think it's a coaching situation. I think I don't Jackson, do you think it's a coach, or do you think it's I mean, how can they go from RG3 10 years ago to where they're at now?
Well, 12 to 13 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a good question. We're going to find out a lot about Baylor in the first half of the 2024 season, because I can't help but feel like that if Baylor does not have a good start to their season, then Aranda's getting fired.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. Now I want to go back to this disrespecting West Virginia, right? Because they was disrespected last year. Picked to finish last in the conference, finishing 8-4 in the conference, 9-4 after the bowl game. So you have Iowa State tied for third with returning production. You have Baylor tied for not tied. They are 6 with returning production, right? You have to go all the way down to. Let me tell you now. Look, Northwestern is tied for 7th with returning production, 6 on offense, 9 on defense. Northwestern, Stanford, who's horrible, 9 on offense, 7 on defense, ranked 7th. You have to go all the way down to 20, tied for 21st. After all these other teams, West Virginia with 15 returning starters, 8 on offense, 5 on defense, 2 on special teams. Not only that, the 8 on offense, I mean, they are really, really good. We didn't lose hardly anybody. We still got a running backs. We still got a quarterback. Still got a wide receivers. We lost Zach Frazier on the line, which was our biggest player. We lost him in the second round of the NFL draft. Look, that's disrespecting West Virginia to throw them at 21 and put Northwestern at 7th. Are you kidding me? So, I mean, y'all tell me your thoughts on that.
I think that West Virginia is going to have a really good start to the first 8 games of the season. You get through the first 8 games at, say, 6-2, you got a very realistic chance of getting into the Big 12 title. Now, those first 4 games, it's rough. I mean, Penn State, I mean, that's no cupcake, that's for sure. They're pretty tough. You got to go to Pitt. That's where dreams go to die in college football. And you got Kansas coming to your backyard in Morgantown. Of course, you got to go to Oklahoma State. You got Kansas State coming to your city. And you have to go to Arizona.
So Arizona and Oklahoma State scared the bejesus out of me. Well,
you know, they should scare everybody, obviously. My point is that there is disrespect for the Mountaineers again this year. And listen, I'd be saying this if I wasn't a Mountaineer fan. This is a Big 12 show, and I'm just throwing this out here. There's disrespect on West Virginia again this year, just like there was last year when they picked them to finish last in the conference. I heard a show today where somebody didn't even have West Virginia in the top 10.
Yeah.
Then I watched another show on Big 12. What's that podcast we were talking about there a while ago, Shane? What is it?
Locked on Big 12.
Locked on Big 12.
Oh,
Had a Utah guy on there today who gave no respect to West Virginia whatsoever. Never even mentioned West Virginia, going down through there on people that could win the conference. You know, so there's no respect for West Virginia still, and I love that. I really do, because that lights a fire under their ass in Morgantown. And these people don't know what they're asking for when they do that.
Well,
it lit a fire on their ass last year for sure.
Exactly.
Not even as a West Virginia fan. It just the ignorance of coming from another conference and not knowing that the parity is there. These teams are going to beat up on each other. It's cannibalistic. It's not. You're not going to roll through like it's the ACC or the Big Ten and have I happen to have 3 games that I have to win. All the rest are just I show up. And I know that's kind of a shitty way of putting it, but, you know, you literally have to have your best game every week, because these teams are as good or if not better than you week in and week out. You're not playing a homecoming game.
Right.
You know, I'm talking about them poo-pooing. He mentioned Kansas State, but Iowa State. He totally
Exactly.
took a crap on TCU.
I don't understand the disrespect for Iowa State right now. I mean, it's ridiculous. This team's going to be a good team. This Iowa State team's going to be dangerous. And if you have to play them in Ames, Iowa, I'm going to predict already you're going to lose. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're in the Big 12 and you have to go to Ames, Iowa, you're going to lose that game this year. I promise you, it's going to happen. Because Matt Campbell has them guys rebuilding. He's rebuilding that program. And Iowa State's one of them programs that you have to build and have a good team every 4 or 5 years, right? You've got to get your people in place and set them. And guess what? Matt Campbell was pretty good back 4 or 5 years ago. Remember? Now we're back here 4 years later, and he's returning all this production. You better watch out for Iowa State.
Yeah, and if we can see Iowa State have a humongous season in 2024, we could see the coaching rumors get back up for Matt Campbell. Not saying that he would leave Iowa State, but that's going to happen. Matt Campbell's going to leave for this school. He's going to leave for that school.
Now,
he never left. He was going to leave for the NFL too. Everybody was saying too, right? They had Detroit Lions and stuff. They were like, "Yeah, he's going to leave and go." He never left. He likes it in Ames, Iowa. A lot like Lance Leipold likes it in Kansas. That man could have probably went anywhere this year, and he stayed in Kansas. Took on a new contract. A lot like Rim Baker did at West Virginia today. So a lot of SEC schools, particularly Missouri, was after Rim Baker, right? And Rim Baker is just like, I'm a West Virginia guy now, and signed the contract to 2030. I think that's great. I like to see that, because if coaches and athletic directors move around a lot, what's that telling the players to do, right? And I think if you can have stability in a program like West Virginia's got right now, Neil Brown, like Iowa State has right now in Matt Campbell, like Kansas has right now in Lance Leipold, and like Texas Tech has right now in Joey McGuire, when you have that foundation and these coaches that are really good are staying put, that tells the players that, hey, stay put, be calm, be patient, and stay here. And we're going to have the same coach all the years we're here. And I think that helps.
Go ahead, Jackson.
I was going to say, Joey, you mentioned Texas Tech with Joey McGuire. This season, we're going to be seeing whether it's this time for sure for the Red Raiders, because last year they disappointed a lot of people, especially when we saw them lose to Wyoming to start off the year. And, they whooped California in the Independence Bowl, but that's not what they wanted in the preseason, to be bragging about how they smacked Cal around in the Independence Bowl. They're looking for a 10-win season. They're looking for a Big 12 title game berth. That's what they're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And the schedule is very manageable. I mean, we're looking at, Abilene Christian, Washington State, North Texas. We don't know what Arizona State's bringing. I mean, they're not very... not good.
Probably not going to be real good, right?
No. Cincinnati's a disaster. I mean, you got to go to Arizona on October 5th. You got a bye week. You can sit and chill for Baylor. You got to go TCU. Got to go to Iowa State, which, like you said, that's a loss if you go to Ames, Iowa. Then you got Colorado coming to your backyard. Luckily, you get a week off for Oklahoma State.
Yep.
But then you got West Virginia on rivalry week. I mean, I don't get why they have it on rivalry week, but I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, I know it. We had a lot of people this year, and I agreed. I totally agree. We used to play Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
You remember that, Shane? We played Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving weekend.
I remember
that was absolutely the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best. And I know that they're out of conference now. I know it's a non-con game, but who the hell said you had to schedule your non-con games in your first 3 games? You can schedule them at the end of the damn season. Hell, why not put them there at Thanksgiving? What the hell? SEC does it all the time. When have you seen Alabama, on week 9, 10, or 11 play, I don't know, Alabama, Birmingham. They do that shit, right? It's like week 9 or whatever, and Alabama's playing some cupcake team and getting a week off. It's like another bye week for them. They can play their second and third string.
Yeah, give them a breather. I think that's more beneficial. Having that breather week.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Because you keep your players sharp. Your players get to play. Your second and third stringers, you get to see them play a little bit more. They get some in-game experience, and it's later in the season. So you're not having to play your starters because you already know what your starters can do, and you already know what you've got there. You can play a lot of second and third string guys if you play these games later in the season. So but now I'm not saying that Pittsburgh is that kind of team because they're not a cupcake team by any means. What I'm saying is it doesn't hurt to schedule them the week of Thanksgiving like we used to years ago. I just don't understand this scheduling at all.
I want to see Pittsburgh, Penn State go back on rivalry week. That would be huge. And I would like to see Pittsburgh, West Virginia be played in November as well. And while we're at it, let's have West Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia Tech be brought back.
Those Maryland games were fun when I had season tickets. I mean, it was always close, competitive. I mean, West Virginia leads the series, but it was always a good game to schedule because their fans traveled pretty well, and it's not a far trip for West Virginia fans to go over there to what's it, College Park?
Yep, College Park, Maryland.
D-Rock Irish says Brandon Marcello, writer for 247, had WU at preseason 26. But the Clown didn't have Notre Dame in the top 35. Notre Dame's probably a top 15 team this year. I really think so. I think Notre Dame's going to be really good.
Without really looking at it, I would put them top 20. I mean, they have pretty good they had some good pickups in the transfer portal. I don't follow Notre Dame a whole lot, but I know enough that they've picked up some studs, and I'm a big fan of their Kelly Green uniforms.
Yeah. So I'm looking out there, and it looks like Tim Prangley's agreeing with me here. Marcelo is making points with his bosses, with his cliques. Best to ignore it. Yeah, that's true. It is. I think, and there he is. Tim says nobody knows Notre Dame thinks they aren't a top 15 team at worst. So, yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame's going to be a pretty good team. Now, does West Virginia deserve a ranking of 26? No, I think West Virginia should be in the top 25. We're returning 90% of our offensive production. Guess what, guys? That offensive production last year was pretty damn good. If y'all didn't watch West Virginia, we scored a lot of points. We were pretty damn good.
I'm going to share this ranking with you gentlemen here. So let me pull it up. You guys
okay.
But yeah, I was going to say that, how West Virginia, Kansas was this turning point for Kansas in 2022. I wonder if it can be that turning point for West Virginia this season.
Yeah, well, West Virginia's not the bottom of the barrel like Kansas was at the time, right? Kansas was a absolute bottom of the barrel, 1-win team, and then they come into Morgantown and upset West Virginia. And it kind of turned their whole program around. And I look, good for them. I'm happy for them. I really am. I think the better teams are in the Big 12. It makes West Virginia have to be that much better, right? So I'm all for teams being really good in the Big 12. Everybody just being good. So I don't know. I mean, will it turn West Virginia around if they can return the favor this year? I don't know if Kansas is at that level yet. Does that make sense? I don't know if Kansas is at that level to make our players say, hey, we beat Kansas. We're pretty damn good. I don't know if they're at that level yet. But you know what? Beating Kansas State, Oklahoma State, I would say, yeah. If we could do that, our players would start believing a lot then. So.
I want to talk about a few teams on here that just pop off the screen, and it makes me nostalgic and happy to see on there. Okay, Nebraska and the U. How long has it been since we've seen, the U, Miami at 18? I mean, I remember constantly on the top 25, and Nebraska, they've been a trash can the past 5 years, and it's nice to see them in top 25, even if it is way too early preseason. But I don't know about the Arizona. I can see Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I can see them in the mix. Kansas, I can see maybe at 23. But guys,
I don't agree with hardly any of this. Utah at 6. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that until it's proven wrong, right? I'd have to put Utah in the top 10 until it's proven wrong. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, I'm fine with. Here's my problem with this. Nebraska 22. Nebraska's been a dumpster fire longer than West Virginia's been a dumpster fire. West Virginia's only been a dumpster fire from 2019 to 2022. 2023, we went 9-4 and returning everybody this year. Why are we not in the top 25? With Nebraska last year, they were a dumpster fire again.
Right.
You know, so what? Matt Rule has not turned things around there yet, and I guarantee you it ain't going to happen this year either. Nebraska is going to be lucky if they can go 6-6, maybe 7-5. That's my
What
opinion.
if West Virginia switched spots with Texas A&M? Because I mean, Texas A&M hasn't done anything to earn that top 25 rank.
These teams that are in the top 25 are a lot of these teams are teams that haven't done anything to deserve it, right? Miami at 18. I agree with Miami at 18 this year. I think Miami is going to win the ACC. I really do. Yeah. So I can agree with Miami at 18 right now. Nebraska at 22, no. Texas A&M at 25, no. You know, these teams have not proven anything at all.
Garbage, guys, and they're 15.
Well, and I'm looking at what do you think about Oklahoma at 17? I think Oklahoma needs to be a little lower.
Yeah, Oklahoma at 17. Yeah, I would agree with that. Now Texas at 3, is that too high? Is that too low? Texas has been preseason top 5 a lot of years and fell apart. It seems to be like last year. What weren't they? They were ranked 12th, weren't they? Preseason 12th, I think Texas was, and they did better. But before that, the year before that, they were preseason top 10 and shit the bed. Before that, they were preseason top 10, shit the bed. So maybe best if you keep Texas out of the top 10 to start the season, and in the top 10 again. Will they shit the bed? Who knows? I think they've got one of the better teams, probably the better rosters returning in college football. I really believe their roster's a lot better than Ohio State's and Georgia's right now. But you can't discount that Ohio State, Ryan Day's done a marvelous job here. I mean, the guy's barely lost any games in all the years that he's been there. And Georgia, I mean, God, but Georgia's Georgia, as always. So Alabama at 7th with a new head coach, Nick Saban gone. Okay, maybe until it's proven different, you have to put him in the top 10. Michigan, same situation.
Yeah, Clemson's a head scratcher.
But here's the question. Here's a question for you. So you see these teams with new coaches, Alabama, Michigan in the top 10, right? Where's Washington? Mm-hmm. Where's Washington? Where was Washington last year? Where did they finish last year? Does anybody remember? Washington was really damn good last year, right? Washington was a damn good team. How come they're not here? Where's Washington at in here?
Exactly.
Just because they got a new coach? So does Alabama and Michigan.
Yeah.
So.
That's a very good point. And I don't even understand Arizona being ranked higher than Washington. I mean, that's just a head scratcher. And Nebraska, I like you, but you got to move out of top 25.
Yeah,
I agree. Them and Texas A&M need to be out of the top 25. Look, I know Texas A&M's got a new coach. He's going to do a fantastic job there. I really believe they got a lot better coach than they had. And I'm not saying anything against Jimbo Fisher. I think Jimbo Fisher's a great coach. I don't think he fit in with the culture at Texas A&M. He's a West Virginia guy. I've been to Texas. I've lived in Texas. I'm gonna say right now, I didn't fit in. And Jimbo Fisher was the same way in Texas. He just didn't fit in down there. And so now they've got somebody that fits in down there. So Texas A&M is going to be a better team. But this is year 1. I don't know that they're going to be that much better to put them in the top 25 early. I would much rather see West Virginia there, who has a coach that's been there for years and did go 9-4 last year, is returning 90% of his offensive production and 60% of his defensive production. And the players we lost on defense, We replaced them with higher graded and better players at West Virginia. Now, I'm not saying West Virginia is the cream of the crop in the Big 12 by any means. They're not.
We
I'm
never
telling you
had.
right now, the team to watch in the Big 12 is Oklahoma State without a doubt, and then you have to watch Kansas State and Kansas
Yeah.
and Utah, obviously. But West Virginia is going to be right there in that mix, guys. Don't get it crossed up. Vegas might have West Virginia at 6.5 wins. Last year they had them at 4.5 wins, and we won 9. So Vegas doesn't always know what they're talking about, and they don't this year. 6.5 wins is way too low. We're going to win at least 8, possibly double digits. From talking to Neil Brown today, I think we're going to win double digits. I'm not talking about anything we talked about on the air. I'm talking about off the air. I really believe we're going to have double digits wins this year.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this, gentlemen, my biggest gripe is number 15 should maybe be 25. Nebraska shouldn't be on there. Arizona is a big question mark in my eyes. Kansas should be
higher.
Should be a lot higher. Anywhere from 15 to 21. And then, of course, Iowa could go into the 15, any slot from 15 to 20 to 22. So those are my big gripes. And now Utah, you get top 10. Alabama, give them the top 10 until they shit the bed. But guys, I just wanted to bring this up and share this with you. I thought it was interesting. It's a head scratcher. It's way too early.
Ole Miss can't get it done in the regular season. They just can't get it done in the big games. They're like the SEC version of Penn State.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're good until they play the big dogs.
Yeah.
So some news today out of West Virginia. And I'm sorry, I know we talk a lot about West Virginia in this Big 12 show, but athletic director Rim Baker received a 2-year extension today. He was only going through 2027 or 2028. Now he's going through 2030. So congratulations to Rim Baker for signing that extension. Congratulations to West Virginia, because every sport at West Virginia is up. Every sport has just been elevated. That man's had a tough job. He come in and had to deal with a out of line head basketball coach, completely out of line head basketball coach, right? I mean, really was. By going on a channel and throwing some homophobic slurs and then getting DUIs and then hollering that he's suing West Virginia. And I mean, he had a hard time with this coach. This coach was out of line. And I love Huggy Bear, right? But he was out of line on some things. Then you had the women's soccer team, the women's basketball team. He had to practically, he had to hire coaches, and we have great coaches that are winning. And I mean, our West Virginia's women's basketball team this year was friggin' amazing. I've never seen that good of a team out of a West Virginia women's basketball.
Put it to Iowa, and then there's some the 22 foul shots to the 5 foul shots.
Yeah.
That was kind of a strange occurrence on top of didn't pass the eyeball test. You had about 15 high profile people on Twitter, basically, or X, I should say, calling out the refs, saying, this is really suspicious. But no, they have a very good coach there. Now DeVries has a number 4 in the transfer portal for recruits. So he's getting some studs. He's doing a good thing.
He is.
But
he has got the number 1 player out of the portal the other day.
But, I want to go back and just highlight the fact that this is a Big 12 show, and we're not crapping on Utah, but there's legitimately 8 teams that are in the conversation to play for the championship of that conference.
This is going to be a really good conference to watch this year. Listen, if you're an SEC fan or a Big 10 fan, if I'm an SEC fan or Big 10 fan, I'm watching the Big 12 this year, because every team is returning so much that it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be, listen, I'd say at the end of the year, we're going to have some teams that are tied, like maybe at 10-2, and which one's going to get to play for the Big 12 championship, and they're going to have to go to head. And because there's so many teams in the Big 12 now, there may not be that head-to-head competition. You might have to look at rankings. You might look at a lot of other things. And so I think at the end of this year, we could see some arguments going on in the Big 12 because there's going to be so many good teams that, yeah, who the hell knows what's going to happen?
I don't know. I've said in the past that Utah would be a great representation for the Big 12, but I look at the schedule.
Yeah.
I really looked at the schedule, and into the playoffs for seeding, I think they're going to use the strength of schedule. But you have West Virginia playing Penn State. If they beat Penn State, then you need to put, if the Big 12 wants to really survive, they need to put all their chips on West Virginia. If Oklahoma's running the table, you put all your chips and hope that Oklahoma State's winning. You know what I mean? Oklahoma State. Even if TCU gets hot, and you guys, everybody's been poo-pooing them, but 2 years ago they were playing for a national championship. They have every chance of being as good as anybody else. Are they the top 5? Maybe not. I don't think they are, but there should be in the conversation for the 7-6 spot, just saying. So you need a team, and even if it's Arizona or a new team, but Colorado, Stephen A. Smith picked them to win the Big 12.
I thought,
yeah.
go ahead.
No one knows. So come on.
Right, I thought today, and you watched that interview too, Shane. That's the one I want to ask you about. You watched that interview that I watched today with the guy from Utah on the Locked On Big 12, right? And he gave no respect whatsoever to Texas Tech. None. Now, Texas Tech's had one of the top recruiting classes in the Big 12 and the nation the last 2 years.
He crapped all over TCU too. And
he did.
Now,
no respect out of Utah for any of the teams in the Big 12. No respect whatsoever. So how do they expect us to give them any respect? They're going to have to come in the Big 12 and prove it, because guess what, Utah? You're coming out of a much weaker conference for the last 10 years, coming into a conference that's not been weak at all.
Yeah.
At all. Has made the college football playoffs nearly every year. So you're coming into a conference now that plays football. You're not in the Pac-12 no more. Yeah, there's some good teams in the Pac-12, and maybe you were able to win it and stuff. But you know what? USC was down for a lot of years now. USC, I think, is a lot better team now than they were a few years ago. But you know what? Utah didn't have to face a good USC team, a really good USC team. They didn't have to face a really good, really elite Oregon team. They didn't have to face a really good elite Washington team. Now, maybe last year they did. Pac-12 was up last year, the first time in quite a few years. And I see Tim saying, "Whoa, Joey." No, Tim, I'm not putting down USC or anything. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is you guys, you guys have been down in the Pac-12 for several years. Y'all are probably a much better conference than the Big 12 overall, if you look at everything. But for the last several years, you've not been as good of a conference as the Big 12, in my opinion.
Last year, they were dynamite. It was.
Oh, last year, yeah. Last year, yes.
Conference. I couldn't say. Yeah. I mean, I was, I never thought I would be watching Oregon State. I'd be watching Washington State, or I'd be watching, but, they were. And
that's, Tim, that's what we're saying. Yeah, Oregon, Utah, and Washington were fantastic teams last year. But you know what? So was Kansas State, Oklahoma State, West Virginia. All those teams were pretty damn good last year too. What was just out of curiosity, Tim? What was USC's last year? What was their final thing? 8-4.
Joey, pull up Utah. I have their thing, Sharon. Pull up Utah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think honestly the reason why Utah is so high in the preseason rankings is because I think a lot of them are thinking about what Utah will do with a fully healthy roster. Because like last year, they didn't have Cam Rising last year, and they hurt him big time.
Yep. So let's look at this.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Utah. I don't have a problem with people ranking Utah at the top of the conference. I think they belong at the top. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they think they're going to come in here and just dominate the Big 12 because it's the Big 12. The Big 12 has been a better conference than the Pac-12 for many years.
I don't
Except
think
for last
anybody's
year.
gonna dominate
With the
the Big
exception of
12,
last year.
So they play Southern Utah,
right?
then they play Baylor at home. So I give them Baylor at home. Okay, they're going to handle Baylor. Okay, Utah State. Hey guys, they go to Logan, Utah. They play Utah State. It's an away game. It's going to be a win. Then they have to go to Stillwater. This is where the rubber meets the road, gentlemen.
Exactly.
This is where you see if they're full of shit or if they have a tank full of sugar and they're ready to dance through the season. So mark that date, September 21st. Okay. And that's going to be a big game. Then, I said they have an easier schedule because they don't have to play Kansas State. They don't play West Virginia. So guys, check this out. So then they go on to Arizona. They play them at home, which is good, right? Arizona at home. Then they have to go to Arizona State. That's not going to be a layup. That's not going to, is Arizona State any good? I have no idea. But then, guys, they get TCU at home. But can you really see, Joey and Jackson, them overlooking TCU and TCU punching them in the mouth?
No.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. TCU is going to play. They're not going to roll over.
No, because I remember TCU, 4 or 5 years ago, coming into Morgantown, West Virginia being ranked, and it's November, and TCU rolled them up. That's happened 2 times. I went to the game. Yeah, guys, it happens. Yep. Then they play Houston. They're going to beat Houston. Okay. BYU is not you don't laugh. Come on, guys. BYU is probably not the best team in the conference, but that's going to be a slug.
Well, one thing about when you play BYU, you're playing full-grown men. These guys are 24, 25 years old. They're back off mission.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the great thing about Utah being in the Big 12 is that the Big 12 not having the Bedlam and the Red River rivalry, they now can market the Utah BYU rivalry as that marquee rivalry, and that can move up to top 15 nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And then so you have BYU. That's probably an emotional game, but then they got to go to Colorado and play Deion Sanders' team. No matter how much we make fun of it, he still has talent on his roster. His son is a good quarterback. They can score points. Their defense is suspect, but guys, that's no walk in the park. Okay.
Yeah, but here's my concern. By that time, this is my concern. I think Colorado is going to come out guns blazing and just smoke some people first couple of games like last year. Then they're going to fall apart. So by that time, Colorado might be a dumpster fire. Now if they aren't, that's going to be a damn good game.
They were still dangerous when they were losing. They were only losing by a score. They didn't get blown out too many. They got blown out once that I could remember. But guys, that's not a walk in the park. And then, guys, you get Iowa State at home. They can win that. But going into UCF, and Iowa State is going to give them a hell of a game. But UCF, you're going to Florida, which that travel is not fun, guys. Okay? And you're going to play a Central Florida team. I know West Virginia knocked the crap out of them, and it was not as close as we thought it was. But they have a talented team. So I see, that Oklahoma State is going to be the freaking the litmus test. But guys, I see Oklahoma State, TCU, Arizona, UCF, Iowa State, Colorado. All those teams could beat them.
I think so too. Now, that being said, Utah's got a pretty damn easy schedule. They do. They're not getting Kansas. They're not getting Kansas State. They're not getting West Virginia. They're not getting 3 teams that are picked to be in the top 5 or 6 of this conference by everybody.
Top teams at home.
Right.
And Utah at home has a fantastic record. Guys, they do.
But their problem is they're going to have to play, even if they do really well in this schedule, maybe lose 1 game and get to the Big 12 championship. Guess what? Then they're going to have to face one of those teams: Kansas State, Kansas, West Virginia. So one of those teams, Iowa State. They're going to have to face one of those guys, and Iowa State's going to have a chance to beat them the next to last week of the season.
They might have to play an Iowa State team that already knocked the crap out of them.
Right. Right.
Well,
So,
and I'm looking at.
Go ahead, Jackson.
I would say that I'm looking at that Central Florida game. Imagine nobody talking about Central Florida. That's the thing about Gus Malzahn teams. When everybody talks about Malzahn teams, they don't do so well. But if nobody's giving them coverage, nobody's talking about them whatsoever, they thrive. They beat the spread. They pull off the upset. Case in point, Central Florida, Oklahoma. I didn't hear any bit of coverage on UCF Oklahoma. Nobody talked about that game that week. Guess what? Central Florida almost knocks off the Sooners. Everybody talking about Central Florida. Guess what? They blow a lead against Baylor. Nobody talking about Central Florida. Bam, they pull off an upset over Oklahoma State, 45-3. So if nobody's talking about Utah, Central Florida on rivalry week, because let's be honest, I don't think a lot of people are going to be thinking about, oh, Utah, UCF on Black Friday, yay. They're not going to be thinking about that. So what does that mean? Utah's on upset alert in the bounce house.
You know, Gus Malzahn down there at UCF is one of the better coaches in college football, without a doubt. I really believe that. I like Gus Malzahn, and so I think UCF's going to be a lot better than they were last year. I don't see UCF at the top of this conference. I see them probably around 8, maybe the middle of the conference, right? 8, 9. That's where I see UCF. I don't see them at the top. But at the same time, that don't mean they can't beat your ass if you're number 1 in the conference and you got to go and play UCF home or away. Don't mean they can't beat your ass because UCF can. They're that good. They could take down some of the big boys. I'm going out here to chat for just a second, guys, because we have some people coming in. Homicida, thank you for coming in. We haven't shouted out the chat yet, and I'm not going to go back up to here because there's been a lot of you guys popping in here. In and out and commenting, and I've been highlighting your comments. We've been talking about it. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Just thank all of you right now. Appreciate everyone. But I do have an announcement to make, and I didn't really want to announce this and stuff, but I'm gonna go ahead and say something. So Jason Rollison, a great friend of this show, and I think everybody knows who Jason Rollison is. He had a heart attack last night, and he's not doing too well. He had a pretty bad heart attack. He's in the hospital. I am in touch with his wife. So hopefully I can get some good news out of that corner real soon. But Jason, if you are listening, watching on delay, watching later, we love you, brother. We love you very much. Just keep fighting, and come back here with us and join us in the chat. Jason, we are thinking about you, brother. All right. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to get that out the way and everything. So, so D-Rock saying Knights will play spoilers, especially in Orlando. Yeah. And now, see, here's what got me about this too. So everybody talking about, well, putting down West Virginia this year coming in, just like it did last year. And everybody saying UCF is going to win this conference because I've seen a lot of people saying UCF is going to have a chance to win this conference. We have to remember West Virginia went to Orlando last year and drugged that team up and down the field. I mean, I have never seen a game like that in my life to where UCF could do nothing. We just drug them. BYU was the same, just drug them up and down the field.
Joey,
I worried about that.
Defend UCF, okay? I'm taking my West Virginia hat off and put my UCF hat on.
Okay.
I think they had, and we talked about this, me and you. I think West Virginia just was on the upswing, had a fantastic game. UCF had a terrible game. That combination just made it look even more lopsided. I think it wasn't as big as a blowout as what the eye test. It was a blowout. It was a bad game. If you were a UCF fan, you got whooped. But they're not a bad team. It was just a bad game.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying people that are saying UCF at the top and West Virginia at the bottom, when West Virginia is returning 90% of their production on offense that drug that team up and down the field last year, I do not see that happening. You know, I mean, you look at West Virginia's offense. We lost a couple of players. We lost a couple of offensive linemen, including Zach Frazier one of the best players in the country, one of the best centers in the country, second round of the NFL draft. But you know what? We've got a pretty good replacement for him that played behind Zach Frazier for the last 2 or 3 years. And now he's getting his chance, and he's not a bad player, guys. We're not going to miss out a lot. We're not going to miss a lot on that center position. Do you agree with that, Shane?
I do. I do. I mean, and that's pretty much the case with most of these programs that are established. You don't have the ebb and flow. You know, there's going to be someone next man up type of deal. But UCF recruited Charles Patterson. Yeah, UCF recruited 9 4-star players last cycle. Yeah, they get the talent. They're in Florida. They have a huge fan base. They have great facilities. They're gonna, the Magic 8 Ball and AI picked UCF to beat Florida. Jackson,
Yeah.
did you know?
Now, have you been watching our shows? The AI versus 8 Ball. Have you been watching any of those, Jackson?
Bits and pieces
On Monday nights. So it's pretty cool because
Florida.
It's been kind of scary good on how good both of them, especially the 8 Ball. The 8 Ball's picking these games like I would. Seriously, I mean, it's like really, really good. It's like it's been watching football for years.
You're right. I went down to Louisiana. I got some black magic, and I sacrificed a chicken and a possum because we are West Virginia fans. And with that, the Magic 8 Ball actually has some extra juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
you know what, guys? It's been a great show. We've been an hour, and I've really got to get off here and stuff. But Jackson, tell everybody where to find you at, man.
They can find me on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979. They can find me on Twitter at Jackson09960335. And they can check me out on Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908.
And you can find Jackson Johnson right here on every channel of the Voice of College Football. I think I've modded you on every channel now, haven't I? Because you
Not
just like
yet.
throw these. Not yet. Which ones have I not modded you on yet? I got to get you because he's really good at just sharing links and throwing them out there. We got to get Jackson taken care of. Jackson messaged me and let me know what channels you're not a mod of so I can take care of that for you. But anyway, guys, Shane, you got anything coming up? I know you've got a big show tomorrow night. Tell everybody about that.
Tomorrow night, check us out. We have a former NFL player and West Virginia alum. It'll be a surprise. Hopefully Brian's internet is up for it, but we will be talking all kinds of fun stuff. And you can also find me, with Joey on Mondays and on the Voice of College Football. And on occasion, I'm on Steelers Dynasty podcast every Wednesday at 9. And I'll tell you what, I love having Jackson on, Joey. I love talking football with you. I'm so proud of the interview that you knocked it out of the park. The people in the comment section have watched it and loved it. And if you haven't, you're missing out. Watch Joey Foster's interview with West Virginia head coach Neil Brown.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I started out I thought I started out the interview with a pretty damn tough question. Why? What the hell happened the last few years before last year? What was going on? And I thought that was a pretty damn tough question, and he answered it truthfully and honestly. Right? He just didn't do a good job, and he didn't, he didn't understand pretty much what I gathered from it. He didn't understand what he was doing, what he came into. And so he couldn't get rid of players. It wasn't as easy to get rid of players in 2019 as it is now. And if he had it to do over again, he would go back to 2019 and get rid of some players, just clean house.
Yeah.
And so, I thought that it was a really good, open, honest interview.
Yeah, basketball coach already has that figured out.
Oh, yeah.
His interview, hey, man, if it takes us longer to get where I want to go, because I want people that are in on the culture. But yeah, that's exactly it.
So, excuse me.
So yeah, catch us tomorrow. Okay, we're going to be on the Voice of College Football. I will be solo with a guest, and Joey is going to take the night off. he's handing the reins over to me for tomorrow. Jackson, if you're not doing anything, you could come on too. I'd love to have you on. The more the merrier. It's like walking home drunk from the bar. The more people you have, the easier time it is to get home. But you'll end up sleeping under a bush if you're by yourself.
Yeah. So Jackson, Shane, you guys stick around for a minute. I'll talk to you guys in the back room. Everyone, we appreciate you. I'm going to lead it out with a video with you guys of Eugene Napoleon's wife, Naya. So everyone enjoy this, and we will see everybody tomorrow night.
No big cities, flowing waters, everything's so pretty. When I dream so clearly. My place of refuge, swear I wanna be. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright. Far away, tucked so nice. So we got love with a little bit of sugar and spice. That's right. Friendly smiles, that's all you'll ever see. Mountain heaven, no place I've